All right, 10 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Greg Camp,
Here.
Jim Caston,
Here.
Matt Unrein,
Here.
Terry Thomas,
Here.
Mark Johnson,
Here.
Kevin Dennis.
Here.
All right, we do have a quorum. If you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
Which one under the indivisible.
All right. Item 4 on the agenda are the minutes from the regular board meeting of 9/16. Entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
And a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item 5, approval of bills, 486, 578, and 88 cents. There is the addition of 587.50 for legal services.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills as presented, plus the addition of the legal services performed for a total of $486,578.88.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Greg Camp,
Aye.
Jim Caston.
Yes.
Matt Unrein,
Aye.
Terry Thomas,
Yes.
Mark Johnson,
Yes.
Kevin Dennis.
Yes.
Okay. Next up is some old business, the collector well number 2 preliminary drawings, which were in your packet. More informational than anything else, but if you had any questions or comments, now would be a good time to throw them out there. Jamie and I had a meeting with the design team with Burns and McDonnell here 2 weeks ago. Answered some questions specific to security, gates, and fencing on the platform, and also the design of the same for the current collector well. I think we got that pretty much addressed and taken care of. I think the new pump house facility is going to be really nice. They've answered, I think, a lot of our questions.
Yes.
How do we get things in and out if something breaks? So there's going to be a large sunroof, so to speak, on the top of the building, but the plans look good. Hopefully, again, you guys have a chance to take a look at it. I know it's a lot of gobbledygook, but things are looking pretty good as far as the design of that. We will have a pricing meeting with Burns and Mac next week, and I'll have details on that released once we get it. But I'll make sure that we send that out to the whole group after next week.
Something else I wanted to point out, we were taking a look at the transformers just for the high and low voltage up on the existing collector well. And I did find out through Ashinger, there are companies out there that are willing to buy our old transformer. So however we want to proceed to put that out for bid or whatever else, whenever we do have it removed, because he said some companies will pay like $10,000 for our unit.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And Ashinger is willing to give me all the contact information if we want to do that, or however we want to proceed with that, as far as any legal obligations or whatever else.
You know, since you mentioned that, Jamie, my staff and I are probably going to be preparing a list of unnecessary and outmoded equipment that will be selling by Purple Wave Auction here very soon. I don't know if that's something that you have ever considered, but I'd be happy to throw some of your guys' stuff in on our auction if that would be of any benefit to you.
Yes. Well, that's the thing, is just like whenever they do that transformer, and probably the old red pickup.
Yeah.
It's just, how should I put it? Almost embarrassing.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the proceeds would go back to JCWA, but we could throw that in with the rest of our stuff on the sale when that time comes. So I'll bring that back to the board for their consideration.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I've also got a few electrical motors up there that we don't have equipment for anymore that could be sold as well.
Yeah, they'll sell everything from like I say, pickup trucks to copy machines. So anything you got.
If there- Discussion on the preliminary drawings. We'll jump down. Kevin, did you have something?
No, it's a good, man.
Okay. The letter from Gilmore Bell regarding debt service coverage. This was the good news letter that we got back on the 11th. I know I shared this with Jim and Herky, but we were trying to talk to our legal, our bond counsel related to the debt service coverage. As you know, with the refi and the new financing for the collector well project, we have that 1 year spike, and then our debt requirements drop off considerably, but we do have that 1 year. And the question was whether or not we could pre-fund from reserves or that 1 year spike where the wholesale rate could stay consistent to the two cities. And the letter there to Michelle from Mark Grimm confirms that. So we will be able to pre-fund that 1 year spike. We'd be able to do it more than 1 year, but the 1 year in question was the one we were concerned about. This allows us to pre-fund that coverage, and we shouldn't have to worry about that 1 year spike. So good news there. The addition that was added was the approvals from DNR for us to proceed on. They have reviewed the plans to date, and this basically states that we are good to go as far as the construction of the second collector well. So any questions on that? All right, excellent. Under new business, chlorine analyzers. Jamie, you want to jump in?
As far as our chlorine analyzers are concerned, they're due for replacement. They have made the current CL17s obsolete. They also require continuous reagent replacement, which is a once a month occurrence. The tubings on them clog, whatever else. But as far as this, with the new chlorine analyzers, which we only have two, this will be more of a membrane type sensor, and you only have to mess with these things about every 6 months or calibrate them if need be. But other than that, they're a lot better. They work really well because there was discussion with Hawk about whether they would work with our quality of water, considering how higher quality of water ours are. They are a perfect fit for us. But yeah, they're due for replacement, and they should be far more accurate and far more efficient than the old units. This was also put in the capital improvement list for this past year, so there's no change in that. As far as this one, we recommend Hawk Chemical Company itself to actually take this over. We also didn't go out for formal RFP because there's only two companies I know of that actually carries Hawk equipment, which is Hawk itself and Blue Book, which is kind of a subsidiary.
So we would entertain a motion to approve the purchase from Hawk Chemical at 11,704 and 15 cents.
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Ken Dennis,
Yes.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Mark Johnson.
Yes.
All right, next up, we have the turbidometers. Jamie, you want to jump in there?
Absolutely. We're also due to replace our 4 turbidometers within the plant. They have also phased out the old unit, 1720Es, I think. Anyway, so there used to be an old photo cell type deal with also just a simple light bulb that was in it. These that they're the new units that they're going to and changing from the old traditional style of turbidometers is to a new 360-degree laser system. So these are also self-cleaning. Yeah. So they are also self-cleaning. So we don't even have to do much for maintenance on these. So as far as change the wiper, stuff like that, and calibrate them if necessary. But these also put us into the future as far as more efficient, more effective, and more accurate to replace the old systems because they are phasing it out. There was even an article on it that finally they've decided that it's time to change the technology. because I don't know how much you know about turbidity, basically end-to-user nephelophometric turbidity units. So what that means is it sits there and it's kind of like a particle counter. So it actually takes light itself off of, and whatever refracts light off of any particles that are in the water, it reads it in the photocell. Well, now it's all done by lasers.
All right, looks like low bid here is from USA Blue Book for 12,887 even. Would accept a motion to approve that bid.
So moved.
A second,
Second.
and roll call, please.
Greg Camp,
Aye.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Matt Unrein,
Yes.
Terry Thomas,
Yes.
Mark Johnson,
Yes.
Kevin Dennis.
Yes.
Continuing also under new business is the bid notice, invitation and specs for the low lift pump number 2, pages 36 through 40 in your packets. This would be to authorize Jamie to go ahead and put this out for bid if anyone has any questions for Jamie. And a mandatory site visit is part of the bid spec.
Yep, I always specifically put that in there because it keeps them honest. Now we did, if everyone remembers, we did have last fiscal year, we had low lift number 1 actually completely fail. And so we did it kind of an emergency, so it was sole sourced. But in this case, it's one of those, because of legalities, we have to, put it out for bid, whatever else, but we'll go from there.
Would accept a motion to put the bid out for the low lift upgrade replacement.
So moved.
And a second,
Second.
all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, moving on. Next in your packet, this is something that Jim and I have been working on and wanted to share it with you all and make sure that everyone's okay with it. When you spend $12 million, you probably ought to let everybody know that you're doing it. This is a press release from JCWA with comments from myself and from Jim discussing the financing, who's doing the project, but more importantly, addressing, I think, the key pieces of the project, which is redundancy and water quality. We'll send this out to the papers and radio stations, let them know about it. We'll make it available for both cities to put on their websites and social media platforms, but hopefully you had a chance to scan through it, but I think it's good for us to get this out there. I think we're doing a good thing and we need to let everybody know.
Right.
Agreed.
Is there any discussion on that? If not, we'll go ahead and proceed with getting the press release put out as quickly as possible. So, all right. Next on the agenda, we had some difficulty, I guess, with staffing from the beginning of September until about the 25th, when we had a number of the operators out due to COVID. Jamie did yeoman duty in covering that period of time, working some additional hours, a total of 115 hours worked. I think we wanted to talk about providing him with some additional pay for the amount of the extra hours that Jamie worked during that time. There's a discussion breakdown there on the hourly rate and overtime rate, the average overtime rate, and then the highest average employees overtime rate, and what those amounts would be. Range anywhere from $917 all the way up to about $1,700. And wanted the board to discuss and see if we can't try to make Jamie a little whole here.
Just
So-
from my understanding, he is an hourly worker, not a salaried employee.
He's salaried.
I'm salaried.
Jamie's salaried.
Oh,
Okay, so this is kind of a attaboy bonus for his stepping up to the plate, making sure everything runs well.
Yeah, with us not having, with basically at one point, I believe, 4
It was
employees.
just, basically at one period of time, it was just me and one other operator running it around the clock, and that was it. It was
Right,
just
right.
us.
So would this be a one-time thing, or would we be setting a precedence?
We've done this in the past, actually. There has been additional compensation, a singular event compensation for the plant manager. So there is precedent here by JCWA to do this sort of thing. Just wanted to say that obviously, Jamie made sure everything stayed running and with just him and another employee. As an hourly employee, that hourly employee was paid for all the overtime that they worked. But Jamie being on salary was not.
Right. Well, my thought is I lean more towards the higher amount because of his dedication and service. So I would make that motion that we go to the highest amount shown, which would be $47.40 is one time and $16.59 is my motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call, please?
Greg Camp,
Yes.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Matt Unrein,
Yes.
Terry Thomas,
Yes.
Mark Johnson,
Yes.
Kevin Dennis.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I was going to inquire whether or not JCWA was going to benefit from the same COVID hazard pay that our organization at Festus is benefiting from. Is that something that they're,
I think we could
Affording.
bring that resolution to,
okay,
the difference, the main difference is the source of funds. The city of Festus, the city of Herculaneum, both have the benefit of ARPA funds. JCWA does not receive any of those funds. So that premium pay that the cities have been discussing to compensate employees for working during the pandemic, we didn't receive any ARPA funding.
I see. Well, maybe that's something that we can discuss at a future meeting. Trying
Yeah.
to figure out a mechanism to award everyone's hard work during that time.
Yeah. And then you guys can figure out the funding sharing or whatever.
I think regardless of whether or not we have the ARPA funds or not, it's certainly a discussion we can have.
That's what I meant.
I think that's probably a discussion that will need to take place with the county specific to, because that's how some of the CARES Act work. If you recall, during CARES Act, JCWA did receive some funds for some mainly technology purchases through the county because we're kind of a standalone entity. A lot of the water and sewer districts within the county themselves had to tap the county CARES Act funds to be able to get into that. It would be a question, I think, for us to pose to the county about the ARPA funds is whether or not JCWA would be eligible for a certain portion of the amount that they receive. I know that that's an easy enough discussion to have. So we can do that for sure.
Well, I got a question for Jamie. Was this internal? Did somebody bring this in and spread it in the plant? How did you guys get so many guys hit? Did we contact trace this at all, or what do we know that happened?
No, we really don't know how it developed. We had one go out over a week before everyone else, and then 3 of them went back to back. That I'm not too sure how it was brought in, how it was whatever. These guys aren't really around each other all that much at all because they generally work by themselves. And I'm probably around them the most, and I was unaffected. I mean, I am vaccinated, but one of them that went out was also vaccinated.
Yeah. I mean, when they are around each other, what kind of precautions are you having them take?
They usually keep away from one another. They don't get close.
So if you're having a meeting with them all in there in a closed room, do you ask for a mask?
Well, that usually don't have that because there's usually not many employees there at one time.
Okay. But if you would have a meeting with 2 or 3 people in a closed room for a length of time. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of times we'll end up having discussions out in the filter room because it's wide open.
Okay. Yeah.
You're practicing social distancing as best you can.
Yes, best we can.
Yeah. I had the vaccination too, and I think I may have contacted it, but I didn't have any symptoms till after I was pretty well done being sick, and that was no smell or taste. So it's a strange thing. I know what Jim's getting at. We want to do our best to keep everybody safe and healthy. So
Yes.
Because when they go out, boom, 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 like that, you don't know for sure. It's almost, it's pretty hard to deny that it's spread internally.
Right.
So.
We got hand sanitizer everywhere. We've got face masks everywhere. We've antibacterial soap, gloves. We got a little bit of everything. Even the bathroom we converted during the original part of this to non-touch. So we've done a lot of little things. Even the entranceway, we've got right off the bat, we've got, as soon as you walk in, hand sanitizer, gloves, face masks right on the wall.
good job.
Okay, thank you.
All right, item 8 on the agenda is the resolution 2022-32 for the contribution to the 401k plan. Would someone like to introduce the resolution?
I make a motion that we introduce resolution 2022-32.
For reading in its by title only, I hope.
Yes, sir. Please, please. Let's not read the entirety of the resolution.
And second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Will the clerk please read the bill?
Resolution of the Jefferson County Water Authority of Festus, Missouri, authorizing the treasurer to make a discretionary contribution into each employee's 401k profit sharing plan according to the plan's documents, prescribing the conditions thereto and establishing an effective date.
Okay. Any discussion?
In the future, could we, when we pass the budget and the budget contains the funding of the 401k,
It would seem,
could we maybe not have to do this? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My question is, the 401k, that's our only pension plan?
correct.
Is there a way to get them into loggers? Having both pensions when I retired, the loggers is very consistent. You get the one-time payout, you get several options for you and your spouse.
Yeah.
What would be the difficulties of maybe getting him in with one of the cities, or I just think maybe it might be a better plan.
I'm going to defer to those who have been on the authority a little longer than I have. Has that been a discussion? Do you recall? Jim, do you recall, or Mark, if that's been talked about in the past?
We've discussed retirement in the past, and because we're not a government entity, we're a 501c3. We can't do certain things.
Oh,
So I'm sure the loggers probably came up then.
I don't know if loggers specifically, but I just know it was pointed out that since we're not a government agency,
mhm.
that we're limited to the types of retirements.
Right. Well, certainly a guy that is retired. Can we at least take a look into the
Make some inquiries.
loggers plan? Like I said, we want to. My whole purpose is to do well for these men who dedicate their services their whole lives, and at the end they have something to show for it. Is my only concern. So if we could, just get into it, it would be maybe a better option, or you may say, no, the 401k is the only way to go. So if we could, just for the betterment of, of our employees.
Okay. We'll have something, either we'll circulate a memo to the board, or we'll have it at the next meeting, Kevin.
Thank you, sir.
Certainly. All right. We have reports. The trial balance is in there for your review. General ledger.
Did we vote? We got to read this a second
You're
time.
right. I'm sorry. I ran off without, got stuck on discussion. Anyway, now that the discussion is closed, I would entertain a motion to adopt.
Make a motion
So
to
moved.
adopt number 2022-32.
Sounds like we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Matt Unrein. Yes. Greg Camp.
Yes.
Kevin Dennis.
Yes.
Jim Caston.
Yes, ma'am.
Terry Thomas.
Yes.
Mark Johnson.
Yes.
All right. As mentioned, we have reports in there, trial balance, general ledger, revenue expenditure report, also the plant manager's report. If you have any questions on the report of Jamie, or if Jamie has anything that's not listed here that needs to be added. Otherwise, we would see if anyone else has anything else to add.
I do not.
All right, hearing none, I would then need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Missouri law. Purpose, dealing with matters relating to personnel issues, RSMO 610-21-3-1.
I'll make the motion that we go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021.3.1 personnel.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call, don't you? to go?
Oh, we'll go ahead and roll call that. That's fine.
I beg your pardon.
Thank you, Morgan.
Greg Camp,
Yes.
Jim Caston,
Yes, ma'am.
Matt Unrein,
Yes.
Terry Thomas.
Yes.
Mark Johnson,
Yes.